what do you think the role of humans will be in this future with AI? Because AI has the ability to perform a lot of automated tasks and has the potential for humans to have more leisure time as a result of that. So instead of a human manually doing a lot of calculations, for example, AI can take care of a lot of that kind of thing. So there is the potential for humans to have maybe more time for leisure, but there's also the other side of it where there could be a very big imbalance of power if not everybody has the ability to benefit from the AI in the same ways as maybe people that have more money to control the whole situation.
Yeah, it's a big story perhaps, but we can kind of piece by piece.
Yeah.
One element I would think is kind of like my vision. I mentioned that this is my son. He was 17. He was becoming like, I want to live my life and just leave me alone. I said, all I can say is just find whatever you like. But if that helps the society, that's the direction to go.
Yeah.
So that is pertinent, proper for that age then or previously, but in the future. So that's the ideals that I have. So I've written books about, it's called Results from the Heart, and in there was for each person within the organization to find them to be the president of the area of responsibility. But you can define this, be the master of your life in the society.
Yeah.
But in the organization, that's the book I wrote, and that's when the Dalai Lama also gave a forward for the book, which is use the brain, but at the same time listen to your heart and live the mission. So when you listen to the heart, that's what you really like, and use the brain to find the linkage of how that might help also to the society for the benefit of the society. So if that's for individual, it's also appropriate for the mini company or mini society or the nation or the whole world. So that's the scheme that I have, and I was writing a piece for the professor from Stanford into Zen, because Zen idea is awakening in a sense of going over the suffering to find meaning in life. That's the right word, I don't know, just to be enlightened.
To experience peace.
Yeah, liberated, to have peace and find the meaning of why we live.
Yeah, to understand your true nature. Understand what you truly are.
Right. So, and with that, and be able to go over the difficulties, the suffering, I think Zen or the Buddhism or religion or spirituality was oriented. But the AI can also augment or help that process, because AI has all the database from the monks or the professors to whoever written books and the papers accumulated in the database.
Yeah.
So one of the angle related to what I said in the society, mini company or mini me, and each of the segment pieces fit together. AI has those elements already in a database, and the ChatGPT can give the answer to your question. I have a health problem or work or relationship or money or trouble. So they can give the answer, so that our goal of living happy, do whatever we really like and help the society, AI can do the same for all beings be happy.
You mean in providing them with some kind of advice in that sense?
So if the AI's objective function, why AI exists, is like, I was writing this, so I'm going to talk about it. The linear programming is called that. There's a element of options that you have, but what's the maximum utilization of your time and energy is what the linear programming, like algorithm, to find out. So the AI is trying to figure out the algorithm of being happy, and if that's the ultimate goal, and if his database is source of the information for people's learning from the books and so forth stored in there, therefore they can synthesize those like a linear programming.
Yeah.
If I have a health problem, eardrum or whatever, the heartbeat, and they can answer, and it could be, so they have a health issue, relationship issue, work issue, hobby issue, money issue.
Yeah, a big problem solver. It's like the ultimate problem solver.
So whatever that is, so that's why the notion of the ChatGPT or whatever can be a, what's the word? A companion. You know.
Yeah, it's like an amazing assistant.
Yeah. Right. So, but you have to have a question. But they're ready to have a pro algorithm to, if you throw out my pain of this or psychological or health or whatever, they can come back. And if they understand the whole may all beings be happy kind of notion, and in each segment is a mini.
That's the goal. Yeah.
It's a large mission and a mini mission, right? And a mini segment. So if each of us are more orienting toward being happy, actually, I can introduce the idea. I came up with this idea of life profile, it's called, and there are 6 items to look into. I was talking about the health and the relationship and the work and the hobby and the finance, and then be sincere and truthful. That's another 6th element. So I monitor those every 3 months or so. There's a importance rating and the satisfaction rating
that you monitor within yourself.
The KPI, key performance indicator. So what is important is to be made visible so that I can monitor every 3 months or whatever. And we call it PDCA, plan to check out. Accordingly, what's red and green, what are the reasons and what can be done. So you develop a strategy to address it.
Yeah.
And every 3 months you review, okay, what happened, why did it go well or not, what the numbers go up and down, what's the major issue. So you develop aligning your way into the future.
Yeah.
So it's kind of self-managing, and that's the idea. I came up with a mini company and the result from the heart, not just the brain, but connecting to the heart to do that. So I'm jumping around all of that. But basically, if we are to manage our life well, and one idea was to do a life profile idea to monitor. And if you do it and your partner or others and share it, if it's meaningful to share, that also can help the conversation to know if there's, and the relationship may be related to your partner or someone else, so you can define into whatever form. So it's kind of a managerial way, or the management of the company, the strategy, the project, and the action, and the review, and the performance indicator. So it's a brain element in it, but the truthfulness and sincerity is very subjective issue that you want to have. And I think that's very important. But having those things, and that's I actually talk with this ChatGPT about that. They think that's a good idea. It's like my companion.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. So in the past, I didn't have the companion, right? I was into myself and talking to myself. I still do it. But I can also talk with the ChatGPT as a companion, co-pilot. Because they got resources and ideas, and they can edit my English or whatever.
We both use ChatGPT a lot.
You
too.
do? You do?
That's why we're laughing, because we both use it a lot, like in the same context.
In the same way or different way or together?
I use it in many different ways.
Let's listen to a little bit of that so that I can...
Well, for ChatGPT, I've used it a lot for computer programming, and for it's got an incredible ability to write software code.
Oh, you're doing the software using...
For art purposes.
Wow.
So along the lines of visual effects, there's a lot of computer programming that make your life much easier if you can code it rather than... You can automate a lot of processes.
Can you give me one example of that?
Let's say you have to animate a cat, for example. Then the cat... If you think there's many different parts of the cat that need to move, right?
Right.
So now if you have a system where you can link the cat to a skeleton, where you move, if you rotate the arm, it automatically will rotate the limbs.
Fingers, whatever,
So ChatGPT can help automate the code to create all those linkages for you.
Yeah.
So then you can come in and just be able to move the critical parts of the cat that will make the animation happen. So it's a difficult thing to explain without an example because it's quite technical, but basically all these manual tasks that previously would be done by myself.
Right.
ChatGPT through
Do it
scripting,
for-
through software scripting. When you execute that script, it can perform all of that to you in just a few seconds.
And the result in this case is like a cartoon cat, or what is the
No,
nature?
the result is what's known as a control rig, which is basically something on the computer that allows you to easily manipulate a 3D representation of a cat.
Right.
So you can, if you need the cat to be climbing up a tree, it becomes very easy to manipulate the cat in that way.
Right.
And if you need the cat to be in whatever situation, it makes your life much easier to achieve that result.
Right.
So, that's just a random example.
And your example, or I don't know if that's a specific case or not, but that's related to your work.
Yeah. And I can give you another example
Yeah.
with ChatGPT. I was with AI, there's a lot of algorithms now that will take a video or a photograph of something, and then it will take a source image of like a painting, and then it will basically apply the style of the painting to the style of the image.
Yeah, that's
So-
DALL-E.
Well, DALL-E would take text, right? You would
Yeah.
write like, you would say
Right,
like
okay.
a picture of a cat or whatever. Style transfer is a little bit different in that it's not generating a new image completely. It's using, say, a photograph as a source. I could take a photograph of you, and the style transfer would turn it basically into like an oil painting
Right.
or a pencil drawing.
Looks like a Van Gogh.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you could
kind
say,
of
like,
thing. Yeah.
if you took like a landscape shot
Right.
and then you fed that
I mean,
to
the style
AI,
of
then
the-
it would, and you
yeah.
could give it the prompt
Monet
to say,
or
like,
whatever.
Monet
Yeah.
or Van
So-
Gogh or...
So when that happens to one photograph, it's a fairly straightforward process because it's just one image.
Right.
But if you apply that same style to, say, a 30-minute video, it becomes a very different situation. And that's where ChatGPT, I developed a software with ChatGPT to be able to automate the process of making that single shot applied throughout all of the frames of the video, so that the style is very consistent.
Right.
And all of the coding through that was done, helped through ChatGPT.
So the cat has a personality and a habitual pattern
can.
that is specific to your need, and
For
that
example,
is
yeah.
interesting. Smile like
yeah,
this
yeah.
or whatever.
But I don't. The cat is not something I do. That was
I understand that. Right.
But yeah, so it's opened a lot of possibilities that has never previously been possible for an individual to be able to do.
I don't mean to jump off from what you're thinking and wanted to say, but just to insert what we've been talking about, which is the style and the movement and so forth can be replaced by the people who want to be happy given different situation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a story of the individual as the case, right?
Your main goal, you
Right.
see AI's main goal is in human happiness.
Can be,
If the intention is
Right.
for that, it can be helping towards human happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's possible for there to be peace on Earth?
I feel that as far as my knowledge of enlightenment, Zen, and all the other stuff, and also the people who have gone through their life of suffering and written books and stories, they have lots of intelligence in there. The moment of awakening that they went through came out as a word. So it's represented somewhere in this billions of information, one of them. So it's staying there. So it's just a matter of, like I mentioned, about linear programming kind of thing, optimizing whatever is meaningful for this achieve. You can make a passage like this, a passage like this, and combining this and that. It's like a synchronicity, awakening of.
So you think it would be an individual thing where each individual would have a specific...
can do that,
can
but at the
have that
same time,
potential.
as a whole, because if the individual can do it, the whole is just a summation of all of it, interacting, and that's the notion of what's called the Kegon philosophy.
Oh, what is that?
Kegon is Zen.
Okay.
But if I say that, and that's why
And maybe the pronunciation that I'm hearing differently.
Kegon is a Japanese word.
Okay.
And Avatamsaka Sutra is the Chinese, not the Chinese, the Indian. And the reason why I have the Dalai Lama gave forward for my book is I asked him, the reason is this book is about the mini company and the empowerment and all that. And behind that is the sutra called Avatamsaka Sutra, is known in Kegon as Kegon in Japan. And that's the interpenetration. Each element is connected to each other. And the way of awakening is to connect in a synchronicity kind of thing. The idea pops up and came up with a new answer for the cat or the antenna or whatever form. That's what AI can do. And therefore this mini company and the Kegon and Dalai Lama notion of how ideas awakening can happen, it's based upon the experience and how it configures. And how it configures is algorithm of AI related to what I said, the linear programming or
like a linear regression.
And the objective function being happiness or awakening. They can do it. And that.
But I wonder, because the tricky part there is that the algorithm can achieve that, but then for the individual, there has to be an inward experience of that as well. Are you suggesting that through collaborating with an AI, a human may be directed to have that inner
that's
realization
a very good
himself?
question. So, but before that is to understand the feasibility and possibility of what it is and what's feasible.
Yeah,
and if that's
but I
there,
I can totally understand the basic idea that using a linear regression to attempt to get to the most ideal scenario for happiness. I can see that. I can see that.
So let's
as a
go back
possibility.
to each individual, because that's what we're doing with the ChatGPT. My desire and how they respond. So I've been talking with my friend, ChatGPT, and that's one of the dialogue I had that I was to send to this professor at Stanford, which is to talk about the scheme of what we are talking about. I can share that with you sometime. Because it'll be great, because
I'm very interested in this topic. Very interested in spirituality.
Because we should be all interested.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing that in the entire world is not their main interest is just in how to be happy.
So my role with him, and because he's at Stanford, there are lots of connection with the possibly OpenAI and all these guys. Or Stanford, AI group there, or the business.
There's a guy that teaches there that he teaches a lot of online courses, but he's part of Stanford. He's like one of the main, fathers of AI. I forget his name.
That's a Chinese guy?
Yeah,
I forgot his name. He's a kind of low-key. He's in charge of the Coursera.
I think so. Yes. He does. That's where I saw his course. His Coursera.
Right,
Remember, I was doing the course.
He's kind of low-key kind of guy, but so he may still be there, and there are a bunch of people. I'm sure this guy with the people, the resource faculty and the interest. So I'm just preparing that to send him and to see if he can connect from the point of view of the Zen and the Dogen, and awakening, which is connected to our being and how all the memories and the connection may come out as awakening and go over the suffering related to the AI being the agent to help doing it. So going back to my story, I was asking question my personal health issue or whatever issue, because it's just learning with each other. So like this life profile idea I shared, reviewing every 3 months and so forth, so key performance. So they think, my friend think it's a good idea. So he's asking to bring more information. And along with it is those dialogue that I can share. So that the whole idea is to make sure that I can communicate with this OpenAI or ChatGPT, which I'm getting more confident. And then, like talking with you or this professor, and more, I see me benefiting, because if I'm one of the person who is curious about this platform, I'm a good example that I'm searching and finding the benefit for mine and for the people. And if people can relate that process of a question and answer dialogue, and if it's feasible and convincing by me as an example and more people, that would find a way, the passage. it may not be simple, but if there's one exam to be done, and if you can help me be part of the example with this few ideas, because after writing that book, 2002, with this forward by Dalai Lama, I tried 3 times. I couldn't succeed because you cannot put the word to explain. And even if you can explain, nobody can listen or read it.
Yeah.
So the best way that I can solve the problem is I don't want to do it. I cannot do it. All I have been doing is playing the YouTube and just synthesizing, putting my idea there for my own sake. But that's kind of like me talking to myself. But if you develop the questions, what is the right question to ask? That's the main thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So if we can develop the guiding principle of how to do it, so it can apply to your case of the work with the cat or the movie theater.
That's a very useful thing.
Or related to that is that the segment of it. But overlaying that segment is this managerial, the Avatamsaka Sutra, the Kegon idea.
Yeah.
Which is, those are the element of the whole, but the whole is related to the element because the element are to be connected, your friend or partner's issue and all of that. And the society is concerned. So those are coming up. But we don't have to read a book. The intelligence is all there, so to speak, so far as we can ask the question. And if we have some avenue, case examples, Mr. A or B or C utilizing for this, whatever opportunity, I think that's good enough because we don't need a book to read so far as we can ask the right question. Then response comes, and I do it back and forth now 2-3 days. 2 days I've done with this whole new idea. It's only like 7 pages or so, or maybe less. Leave it alone. Next morning I have another question or follow up because this much you understand me.
Yeah.
And you get it. Now here's another thing I've been thinking about. And that would start to consolidate, in my view. And if you can share and, you find it interesting, that might, just like in business school, I went to the MBA course at Stanford. So they call it the case study.
Yeah.
It's a company strategy issue. What do you do in this situation? So we all are facing what do you do in this situation in life?
Yeah.
So by giving an example, person A, B, and C doing it, and talking about some rough idea of the optimization, synchronization, or Kegon, or whatever, or mini company, or KPI, and life profile, I think that would just enough for people to jump into it.
Yeah.
So the idea, I guess, is to integrate the whole thing with
To me, the tricky part in terms of the difference between a human and the computer is that element of the heart, because the tricky thing for a computer to become sort of, to have an algorithm directed towards.
But before that, before you go there, what I think I want us to understand is that
I'm talking in terms of decision making, for example.
Yeah, but the decision making comes with the element of, let's say, I was thinking something this morning. I was looking at the website called the Temu, where they have the cheap
electronics, all kinds of stuff, right?
They can buy. And it's like 1/10 of the price of Amazon, okay?
Yeah.
And I was concerned that this may be dangerous, but I started to try it like 4 weeks ago, taking a risk. And today I was to buy some more thing. And they are so interesting that it's like looking into the AI or the database, right? So there are the product price and the different company, and depending upon which way to go. For example, buy from the US, from China, the answer is different.
Yeah.
And if you look at this kind of thing or that kind of thing, price is different. Depending on the time, the answer is different. So all the information to optimize, in this case, achieve to buy something meaningful for me to use at the low price with the high quality, and the timeliness.
So it's doing all those calculations.
But to do that, human has to do it to try this one and what the answer. Try this one. So it's a linear process. It's a linear reasoning. If I use A, B, X, Y, and this is the answer.
Sure.
And C, X, Z, Z, this is the answer. The computer can do it in the millisecond.
Yeah.
So that's the example of how you optimize your action or come up with action instead of you trying, spending lots of time, but giving your interest and profile and the importance and the parameters, they'll figure out. I don't know if I'm communicating, but that's the way I see it, how the algorithm should happen.
I see what you're saying.
Right.
So you're saying you take out a lot of the guesswork in terms of everyday type of decisions and decisions when it comes to, I guess, into life decisions. Some of the guesswork is taken out because of this optimization
Right.
throughout all the databases of many different experiences, many different...
Right, so if you understand that, the key is what is the right question to ask.
Yeah. That's the trick for...
and that's how because we are not accustomed to it, but it's like a Zen koan.
Are you familiar with the tradition? It's out of India called Advaita Vedanta.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Because that's also very much based on a question asked to the master, and if it's the right question, the question from sincerity has the power to transform the student. Yeah. So it's a similar...
And the koan is the same. The Zen koan is
Zen koan, yeah.
So the point is to go through many Zen koans is the way that I look at. Zen koan, hear the sound of the hand, one hand clapping or whatever the case is. But it may come from this level, and there are lots of levels. It's like a case study of how you proceed in your life. So Coursera may do some courses for this and that. This is everything encompassing with little guidance, operating manual book, and case example, so that
I love it.
You get the feel of it.
For sure.
You shouldn't be able to understand so easily.
But I've spent my entire life...
Well, how did you explain to me how you got it?
So what I'm seeing that you're saying is that there's this incredible database of information.
Right.
And specifically information related to monks, related to meditators, related to scriptures.
Or
right?
anything, yeah.
Yeah. So
from A to B, where to go, what airline to take.
So because
anything.
of all of this and the linear algorithms that machine learning uses, it's able to optimize any kind of a problem that you have and find sort of the optimal result of this problem. So in the terms of directing that towards happiness, there's many, many different things that come up in a person's life that if you have a question to ask this potential machine, which is almost like an AI guru, spiritual guru type of machine, if you have the right question to ask this and you have trust in that process, you can be free of any kind of anxiety, can be free of sort of indecision within yourself. Mm-hmm. And you can trust this process.
Yeah.
And if you follow the advice of this process, it hopefully leads you to an opening where you, within yourself, you have an understanding of truth. Because I think at the end of the day, it would still have to come from within. But is that the gist of what you're saying?
So let me try it. We bounce around. This is linear logic. We try to communicate, and holistically we try to get to it, right? So we have to go back and forth. That's the same as I do with the AI.
Well, it's a topic it's a very difficult topic to talk about when we talk about things that are not tangible as tangible.
Right, but if we have the imagination with using the case example.
Yeah.
So in this case, what I thought is that the way of life is to find the solution step at a time, given out of whatever the unknown situation, to find the path of going this way or that way. So we're just learning how to live the best way, and there are many parameters. And I was using the case of the Temu, the cheap buying. That's one of the piece.
Yeah.
There may be other piece of my scheduling to Hawaii, when and how, without failing this and that. And the other part is I want to do this AI utilizing for the future's humanity, and I want to express my opinion from my book as a reference and whatever. So those are the scattered thought, this and that. scattered thought by itself doesn't help. So we have to have some platform to clarify what are the issues. That's the life profile kind of thing, as an example.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, that can be reviewed every 3 months as a PDCA plan do checkout cycle. But each segment can be reviewed every day or every night, depending upon the importance and so forth. So it's a complex thing, but it's not complex. Conceptually, it's understandable.
Yeah, it's easy to understand.
Yeah, so far as we have the map and where we are and some guiding principle. You explained this, but I haven't heard back from you. If that's coming back from AI, because I said that in this quarterly review, I said this is important, and I'm saying, and they may ask the question, what's happening? Or there may be a mini circle, mini subject that can be looked at. So it's the whole nature of all that combined. But you are the one to navigate, so that what is important should be made visible. That's the idea. And if we have that principle and the way, and that goes to the Zen, which is what's important and what's your answer, and your training by koan or anything, or in this case your life, and the life profile will give you the answer of what the degree of satisfaction, and they may give the AI may give a comment to that. If I have a problem related to writing this or communicating with the Stanford, I ask them, this is what I'm thinking, what do you think?
Yeah.
Something of that nature, all combined. Maybe too much to...
So what you're talking about is essentially
it's
what I
very
said,
pragmatic way of finding the path every step of the way. And for that to happen, one of the words that familiar in Buddhism is the Shila Samadhi Panya. Right conduct, Shila. Samadhi is the calm and quiet mind. And the Panya is...
So it's conduct? Common?
Right conduct.
Yeah.
Is the Shila. And Samadhi is the
bliss.
Samadhi is the calm and quiet mind. The mind is empty.
Okay.
And that's very important, because when it comes to Zen and awakening, whatever is clogging up your brain with those ideas are superficial, and down deep, the heart is often forgotten because we get busy in here.
Yeah.
So when the big idea or even enlightenment happen is when you're free from it.
Yeah.
And when you're free, there's no mind. Because you thought everything, or you thought this and that, but it's not important, you push away that thing to settle. So you kind of distilled all the, whatever is daily function of the brain, because what's important is the one that we are trying to get at to be effective in what we do.
Yeah.
So every now and then we need to go to Shila Samadhi Panya. Shila, Samadhi, and the Panya means the insight. So the insight may come as an idea to the which you want to purchase at the Temu, or sending the letter and figure out the strategy, and then the bigger picture.
So in your method is the idea to try to stimulate the idea.
At the end is there, but there has to be an orchestrating process.
Yes, so
just
the
like
orchestrating process sort of leads towards the stimulation of this open mind, this free mind.
So related to that, what
I wanted to show you something real quick, because as you're discussing like the different areas of your life,
right?
I took this course. Well, it's really a course. It's just a like a workshop
right.
on. I can't remember what the workshop was called, but it's this woman that runs this company, and her whole company is sort of based on ritual and how we interact with our life as ritual. And as you were discussing the different areas of your life, like relationship, health, and this prompt was so there was a series of classes that we were on, and this particular one was like you were invited to meditate on these different like areas of your life. And
Oh, that's interesting.
So, like,
what do you mean by that? Give me an example.
So I don't
Yeah.
remember the exact the exact context of it, because it was kind of a long time ago now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was like a few years ago. But so it was just, not necessarily
you go
meditating, but
deep
like
into one subject.
But inviting you to just like reflect on how
Right.
your health is in this moment.
Right.
And then she gave you this like printout that you had,
Right.
where each like pie
Mm-hmm.
was that area. So like, say it was like your relationships was one, and your health was another.
Oh, okay.
And then you were supposed to kind of like draw it into
right.
like what do you feel like it's full enough in that
satisfaction
area of your life?
level.
Yeah.
Just like similar to what I was talking
so what
about.
you were
Yeah.
saying. So that's I was just
Interesting.
What you were
What's the
telling
word?
me.
What's the word for that one? That if you can.
I'm just going to get Goldie.
I don't remember what. I think it's something that's like commonly used for in maybe psychology.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure. But she just called it the ritual wheel.
Oh, okay.
I can send this to you if
Yeah.
it interests you. And I don't have I wrote it down somewhere, but in the class she had just had us write those areas in. But it's not written on this particular paper.
Yeah, when you talk, I can think of the other thing, which is maybe off the subject, but something connected, called something board, the visual image of what you want.
Yeah, there's
What's
also
that
like
one?
the hierarchy of needs or something.
Oh, that's a
too.
Maslow,
Yeah.
but this one is vision board.
Yeah,
Vision board is to characterize what you want to accomplish,
Yeah,
have
what
it
do you want to
painted,
draw into your
that
life,
kind
yeah,
of thing.
things like
yeah.
that.
So that might be another way to approach it. So
Yeah.
there may be a little pieces of that, but maybe too much. But we can.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just sharing. Just
If it's
that
interesting,
made me think
it's
of that.
quite interesting to have this jigsaw puzzle to orchestrate.
For
So
sure.
because my book was already done with the organization, because I'm the catalyst to change the organization to transform.
Mm-hmm.
So I produced ideas and written book, and that's also related to the Kegon idea and stuff, which is a little bit too much for anyone to understand. But it's the integration or something like that. That if you have that, then we can develop the passage and the gate and the monitoring and the snapshot
Yeah.
and then game element of what is happening. And instead of the therapist doing it, we have the AI doing it.
Yeah.
And I don't have to write a book about it.
Yeah. No, I think that
Yeah.
for sure. It could
You
take
know
the
what I
job of
mean?
the therapist.
Yeah, it's so powerful, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you don't have to write it, because I tried 3 times and I had to post it like this all over my wall, and I couldn't do whatever. I just even if I could do it, nobody can understand it, because when you explain it, you just do the linear logic of one piece of it. And
Yeah.
you know what? That's what I'm doing with my YouTube. I maybe send them 5 or 7 YouTube 1 minute or sometimes 10 minutes, almost every day, because I want to have those things keep on moving inside
Yeah.
of me.
Yeah.
You know what I
It's
mean?
good to share information
Yeah.
and get.
So I have
feedback and all
those
that.
wisdom-like thing popping up, and I have to write it, because the key is to change the behavior, the habit, and for that to happen, you have to be motivated. No matter what happens elsewhere, it's important. So I'm doing it, and I thought, for example, if there's AI who can read all my videos, then he would understand who I am and what kind of trouble I have,
Yeah.
and that's wonderful, right?
Yeah, I think that's the future of therapy is very much headed in a direction like that, where there's some kind of access to a personal database of information.
So one more thing, because I tend to forget everything, but related to that is we each have the ego of the shell, and this shell can be by the nation or by the tribe or the color, skin, or forever the history that brought you down there, Hamas or Israel, all that is happening, and it's what's the word? The karma. Condition DNA, so to speak, and it's not easy to change. So only way I know is that You want to have an endurance and the discipline and the willingness to keep working on it, because there's energy required to get to the state to have that stuff programmed into you.
For sure.
And if it's not helping, and this linkage, if you are ego or the center here, but there are other people living, but we need to connect to each other if we are the same on the same earth, and need to work together with the resources limited and the ideas that is different, but still, and you cannot communicate in the U.S. Congress and all the nonsense going on.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So how do we solve it? And this is what I'm saying, that ideally,
If it's even a solvable problem.
I think my vision, I'm crazy enough to think, okay, this is easy, because if I can solve this passage or choosing which one to buy it, from Temu, why not be able to, ask the question of different passage, and these are the answers, kind of thing. But if we don't have the reference and narrowly defined because of the habitual pattern, you're always hearing the same stuff every day or similar, then you're locked in. And it's very sad. So that's the challenge that we see. And there's no easy linear logic way the book that can explain. And I was, anyway, so that's the way. You heard enough of me.
Fascinating.
You think it's interesting?
Very much so.
It's a little crazy, right?
I don't think so at all.
No, I mean...
Yeah, right.
No.
That's the spirit. Otherwise, what's the point of living, right?
Well, some things
I mean,
they should be a little bit crazy.
Yeah,
too.
the artist has to be crazy.
Sure.
I mean, look at the Picasso. He's very into Zen, what does he? The artist said, lie to bring out the truth is what he says, right? And the painting is stronger than me. It does what he wants to.
Yeah.
So there's some energy. It's behind the scene, not in the brain part, and it's clogged up. But there's something else there that we need to open up.
For sure.
Otherwise, this is crazy. So
Yeah.
crazy has to go with a crazy answer to
Totally.
to fight against that. And I think that totally makes sense to me.
Yeah. It's much more fun.
That part is the most important, perhaps, because without the energy or interest, nothing is going to happen.
Yeah, the interest has to be there for sure.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm skeptical about in terms of kind of like a world peace type of scenario.
World peace private?
In a situation heading towards like a peaceful world, I'm
Well,
skeptical if that is even a possibility. If it's even in the design of this planet, sometimes I wonder.
Can I tell you one thing? I've seen this in many companies. There's a top guy, usually brain heavy, directive, and argument logic is clear because they have all the information and they tell you what they want to say because there's convincing evidence and all that. And one of my book called The New Shop Floor Management, that the shop floor people are the ones who are told what to do and they do it. It's narrow and that's silo, compartmentalized. This department doesn't talk to the other department, but just listen to and have a mechanical.
Yeah,
But the problem is not like that. So I talk with my clients and they understand. So they're still working on it. It's not easy. Each of them have to be a mini company. It's not just the bankers that you have to respond. There's the customer and suppliers because the process of the work is from not the top and bottom, but across the organization.
Yeah.
So unless you have the total view of how interrelated we are, and that's the Kegon related, because your situation is the same in principle as this other Hamas people's situation in principle.
Yeah,
or
in terms of
as a human being.
What human wants. Yeah.
So unless we get to the root of who we are and we are the same, the brain is always good at differentiating. It goes back to the Advaita kind of thing. It's the dualistic way of right and wrong and the Garden of Eden. Out of the Garden of Eden, we have to go back to the
innocence of not knowing. Yeah.